The night will begin when we're golden, golden. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. But baby, I need you back. There's no cooling this heat. You know your body needs me too. Just what I do. Oh, baby, baby, you know what I mean. Come through. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. But baby, I need you back. Come through. You know your body needs me too. Just feels right. Oh, baby, baby, you know what I mean. Come through. Ooh, oh, oh, oh.
Artlist.io.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. I'm taking my glasses off.
How's it going? How's it going, everyone? Happy hump day, as per usual.
Yes. And almost Thanksgiving tomorrow if you're in the United States.
Ah, that's why the comments are talking about it. I was wondering.
Yep. Oops. We're one day away from the big day.
What do you have to give thanks for?
Well, honestly, a lot, but mostly this platform. I don't know. Tarot. That's my biggest thanks to Tarot.
Aw.
And my health. What about you?
I don't know. I am thankful that I no longer have a broken voice. Well, it's still kind of recovering, but you know, it's on the uptrend.
On the
So,
mend. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's important. What about a broken heart? How's your heart going? How's your heart doing?
Our heart is doing okay. It's it was broken about a year and a half ago, but you know, I think we've recovered. We're all good.
Broken throat, broken heart. Things are the past. We're thankful for the repaired versions.
We are. I am very thankful for that. I would say life with a broken heart fucking sucks, you guys. So,
Yeah.
you know, but happy hump day. Yeah. Yeah. What have you been up to lately?
Me, mostly yelling into the void about self-help still. And then now this morning yelling to the void about YouTube's policies.
Oh,
I'm just
yeah.
frustrated. It's because, and I put a post on my YouTube community post section, but it's difficult for reaction channels, and we've had issues on this channel too, with knowing the rules, because sometimes we're fine. We play a whole video, review it, nothing gets flagged. And then the next episode, we do like 2 seconds of something just to show it, and the whole thing has to be, demonetized, and you have to dispute it or you have to trim it, and it just takes a long time, and it's frustrating. And I'm wondering what this is just my own personal rant, I'm sorry, but I wonder what YouTube's plan is, if they're really trying to be Twitch and they're going to put streamers in a different category and have different rules so it's fair, or are they just testing this out, going to decide it's not worth it and go back to prioritizing edited videos? I would just like to know before I dedicate too much time.
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say, I'm afraid I have no answers, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I struggle to understand it too, because I think with at least with the kind of content that I make, it's very, I've been sued before. It's very sensitive sometimes. And I think, I don't know, just streaming it feels a bit more dangerous, because when you're on stream, you feel a lot more free and you're like, oh, like it's a bit more casual. So
Yeah.
uh, it's likely that I will say things that I might regret later on streams.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of hard to really. I think that when you're like giving the editing a go, you kind of get another.
Look at it.
Basically, it's the same set of eyes, but like a second time, so you can catch some things and take them out, or add some things to just clarify whatever.
Yeah.
If you didn't realize in the moment of the stream, it's over. So
Yeah. And then sometimes like you don't know what, because there's like epidemics, going back to like the sound part specifically, which is what like is bothering me today, is like it's auto. So it's not even like a person saying like you crossed the line here. It's like the auto algorithm thing that picks out like, oh, this is a song, by Columbia Records. This is a song by, Epidemic Sound, whatever. And there's all these companies, and I pay a subscription to Artlist for my business. So, but there's no way for me to tell in advance what someone else has subscribed to. So if, for example, like Jen Hatmaker, her video was, I don't know, she probably doesn't even know herself, because she probably hired somebody to make the video and then they put a song underneath. Even if I was trying, like, what if I went and bought the, rights to the song? I don't even know where to begin to start. So it's like almost impossible. And then I just feel like that's unfair, because basically if I wanted to not ever be reviewed, I could just make videos saying the most insane things and just put like a copyrighted song underneath, and then, I could never be criticized on YouTube. It just seems unfair. Like that's a really big loophole.
You can be criticized, except they're not going to make money from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to do this for, it's like hours and hours of work and like not to be paid. It's like, I wish I don't want money ever, but I need it, and I need to like live, and I need, if I'm not doing this, I got to go do something else to make money. So it's just, it's frustrating.
Yeah. I would say YouTube has not been great for my pocket, that's for sure.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I've lost money, but whatever. We love it. I do it for the love of it, and I hope someday it's going to pay off, but that day is not has not arrived just yet. So
yes, well, we'll have to be careful with what we say here with Balenciaga, because they got big pocketbooks. So if they don't like what we say, they might be criticizing us too.
That's true. Balenciaga is currently in very hot waters. So I don't know. I think they have bigger things to worry about than me. But if they come after me, I don't know. Like bring it on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's fight this over.
Fight the good
have nothing to lose.
That's what I say. I'm like, I have nothing. What are they going to take from me? My bedspread? Like, that's all I got.
They will take your microphone.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God, yeah.
Don't take my microphone. This was expensive.
I need my voice out there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, exactly. But it's interesting just sort of to look at, because we've talked a lot on this channel about children, and mostly it was under the umbrella of family vloggers or child actors or other things more like that. So now I think this is sort of in the same realm, just a lot more, just a lot worse, I guess. Or
Yeah.
maybe not a lot worse. Maybe it's just the same. I don't know. Like, I guess we're going to have to figure it out. But basically, I don't know how many people know this, but Balenciaga has done an ad recently that has essentially put children in pictures that have very many BDSM symbolisms.
Yeah.
And it became like, obviously, it took off because people are not happy.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a few pictures that they made. These kids are sometimes as young as 3 years old, and they're hugging bears that have BDSM gear on them. And it's just kind of, there's several pictures in there, but it's basically looking really, really bad. And for the initial reaction was obviously very bad. People were not happy with what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
They were commenting on Twitter. In fact, Balenciaga, this is, I don't know if this is related. I don't know if they did it on purpose, but Balenciaga deleted their Twitter account 2 days ago. No,
I
I think this is
wondered that.
definitely related. This is
Yeah.
definitely related.
Because I searched it on Twitter and Balenciaga didn't pop up, and I was like, that's weird that they wouldn't have a Twitter just as a brand. So I thought that was a little odd, but
I can't be persuaded that this isn't related, because
yeah.
this ad drops, people are mad, and suddenly Balenciaga 2 days ago doesn't have Twitter. Like,
They're like,
how does that compute?
Elon's the
Oh yeah,
problem.
sure, Elon's the problem. Yeah, okay. Um,
Let me
but
pull up the images that you sent, like the specifics so you can get, because I know it's a little bit like zoomed out in that one shot. So, because the one that's like the biggest one, the one you're talking about, or the one that's like the most famous one, I guess now, is this one, I think. And the reason I'm not blurring the child's face is because they're like in an ad campaign, so I feel like it's different than like a family vlog channel. And I'll keep it like, half done, but I didn't go in and like blur them all because this is like a commercial piece, and I'm assuming that the kids do have well, the one thing I'll say, the difference between this and a family vlog, or like if like the LeBrand family put this out there for some reason to sell their own merch, there are laws that are working in favor of the children now for their time on set, the tutoring they have to get, all that stuff. The unrelated part is like the content of what they're shooting, which is sort of the problematic part that we're discussing today, as far as I know. So it's not like their, rights that we normally are discussing. It's like, okay, why are children in this random weird campaign, and why, and what is it? There's a lot of conspiracy theories too about this, right?
well, I don't think they're conspiracies. I think there's good points that people have made that are worth looking at. So yes, this is the one of the pictures. There were several, but obviously they have taken them down, so it's kind of hard to find. But there's another one in there, just the one above. That is, yeah. Look at that. What the hell are they thinking? This child is probably like 3.
Yeah. And wasn't
Look at that.
wasn't this brand like super associated with Kanye like just recently?
Yes.
Now, is there
Yes,
any?
Kanye has always been like a representative, and also Kim Kardashian has worn a lot of balance. I think she was the face for a while, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Kanye and Kim have been heavily associated with this. What I found interesting is that people have been calling out Kim for not talking about it, but I don't think anyone's been calling out Kanye. And I'm like, why? Do we just call out the women? Like, what's up?
I wonder that too. I didn't see it really much either way, but I saw one positive thing, like, oh, good thing that Kanye is no longer associated, because he wouldn't have been okay with this. I'm like, maybe he's the one that like gave them these ideas. I don't know. That's unfair, maybe, but like this is not something that was shot yesterday. I'm assuming this is part of a larger campaign, so the timing doesn't really make sense. Like, oh, Kanye must not have been associated with this. I'm like, maybe he was. Who knows?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that he is associated with this campaign particularly.
Yeah.
I just think he's associated with the brand, so people are asking for an opinion. I don't think they're asking him, and this is the part that I find fascinating because we're only asking Kim because
Yeah.
men can be excused. Like this is a woman's job to do labor to fix things up and clean things up, like so
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting that as a society we don't go to the men for this, we just go to women. It's interesting
Did you?
because if
Sorry.
he is for sure a lot more associated with Balenciaga than Kim was. Like he has
Yeah.
had a long-standing relationship with them for years, so this isn't, he's not just like the last sponsor, or they were not just the last sponsor for him or whatever. They've been having a brand relationship for a long time with him. But I'm assuming we're giving Kanye a pass for the mental health stuff and not for the fact that he's a man. But I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's just, it bothers me a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he's just like missing from, he's just going around doing his thing. And then Kim has got like a team of people who still answer the phone. So I don't know. Maybe it's logistical in that way. But I wonder, did you hear about, speaking of Kanye and women, did you hear about what Julia Fox said recently on TikTok about him? It's sort of it ties in, unrelated to this campaign, but ties into what you were just saying about how, women are tasked with fixing everything.
No, I don't know. What did she say?
Okay, I can pull it up. But basically, she's like, the reason, because people have been very well, a lot of people love Julia Fox. And Julia Fox is like a model, I guess. She's like an online personality. I don't know what she does, to be honest. But she has a TikTok, and people really love her on TikTok. People stand hard for her. And this one guy who also has a pretty big platform on TikTok, like did this kind of hate like TikTok about her and said, everyone's like loves you, but where are you coming out and saying like your ex-boyfriend is an asshole, for all the comments that he's saying. Like she hasn't really talked about Kanye at all since she's been on TikTok. And then she came out and said, well, I want to address this and whatever. And she's like, the reason that I was even dating him is to distract him from hurting Kim. And I thought I could distract him from, like all the crazy stuff he was doing. And I like Kim, and I just wanted to like help her out. And I saw that and I was like, what? That's bullshit, I think. But,
Oh, yes. Yeah. Me too. I made out with someone recently just to help his ex out a little bit.
I was like, that's a stretch. Like, okay, like I get not wanting criticism about your choices, but I'm like, So I mean, she's like an actress too, I guess. She was also an Uncut Gems, Uncut Doms, that she's famous for saying. So, do you want to watch it? Is that worth it, or should we stick on top? Okay.
As if it doesn't have a song on it.
Yeah, for real. I don't think it does. Let me see, because I'm on her page where she posts a lot a day. So
I have seen her, like she's been popping up on TikTok. She just, every time I open TikTok, there's something from Julia Fox, and I'm like, why do people care? Like I don't understand who's, like I know she was an actress and I know she was famous, but it's very rare that you see like celebrities just really properly making the transition to a social media platform.
yeah.
I guess this is one of the cases, but I personally don't. I'm not a fan of the content, so I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you need a podcast." Like overwhelmingly positive, which is not bad. I'm surprised that she has taken so quickly to the platform and been accepted really quickly. And whenever that happens, if you start to criticize or question any of their intentions, oh my God, the mob, will come for your comment or will like defend her to the death. So it's interesting she's in this position. I think it looks like she deleted it, because I just saw one that was like a stitch, and then I went to the original and it's gone. So this may be one that was recorded. Our favorite spill sesh we've watched before here. Let's see. I think this is the one.
Is opening up on TikTok about how she even ended up with Kanye West.
The man was
being normal around me. And I was like, oh my God, maybe I can get him off Kim's case. Like, maybe I can distract him, like, just get him to like me. And I knew, I was like, if anyone can do it, it's me, because when I set my mind to something, I do it. The month that we spent together, he wasn't on Twitter, first of all. He wasn't on any forms of social media. Didn't even talk about his relationship. We only really talked about clothes and like weird ideas and plans for the future and our hopes and dreams for childhood and education. And like, it was really beautiful, guys. The moment he started tweeting, I was out. And also I realized pretty quickly that he wasn't going to take my help. I was like, I want to help him. I sounded almost as dumb as you guys, saying that I should have done something to stop him from saying, like, what? But anyway, I was delusional. I thought I could help him. Anyway, it didn't work.
Julia Fox is opening up on TikTok about how she even...
So, okay. I mean...
Oh, I have so many comments about this. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
What do you
First of all, you went out with the dude for like a couple of weeks. It's no big deal. Like, whatever.
Yeah, 1 month.
You don't have to make up this whole thing. Like, I wasn't even into him at all. Like, I just, I wanted to help Cam. Like, just shut up. And second of all, this idea that women need to fix men. Oh my God, when are we going to move past this? This is so bad. And it just makes women end up in all these toxic relationships. And I've done it myself. I don't think I ever did it with like this kind of clear mind. Like, I'm doing this to help him and
Purposely.
change him.
Yeah.
But there's definitely like, red flags that I noticed and that I ignored, thinking, in time I can, whatever, probably show them, anyway. Or if I tell them that it bothers me and that it's not a good thing to do, maybe they will do it the way I say it. It's just, no, women don't need to fix men. We just have to realize they cannot be fixed unless they want to be fixed themselves. And even then, they might not be able to be fixed, because that is a big fucking ask. So we need to really just kind of move on. Second of all, I don't even think, you guys, that she did it for business. I think she just was into him. They dated like briefly, and that's it. That's that on that. I just think they dated. She probably feels embarrassed because what the fuck is he doing? So she's now trying to be like, I didn't like him. Like, yeah, there's that. And then third, why are you bringing Kim into this? Just leave the ex out of the picture. Like,
yeah, I don't know. That part, like the red, I'm like, okay, maybe you thought that, you could help him, whatever. Maybe you're admitting you were delusional. I think that's good. The part that I just couldn't get behind is like, I wanted to help Kim. It's like, if all of his management, all of his family, all of everybody can't do it, how are you, random woman in his life, going to do that? It doesn't even make sense. And also, like, why? I don't know. Yeah, I think I tend to think it was sort of a business decision, only because in hindsight, it really did launch her career as like someone who can commentate on life and someone who's relevant in the conversation. Because all I see her doing, and I don't know enough, but like, is walking around New York in like these very, elaborate different outfits. And to me, like I said, I don't like fashion. I don't care about fashion. I think it's very confusing as someone like just in the world with no knowledge of why, wearing a garbage bag is like cool right now. But she'll wear like these crazy outfits and walk around, and someone's recording her on like social media. It's like, okay, is that making money? I don't know. I don't know what it's for. Is that a job? I don't know. Maybe it is now. But I don't know what she does other than, she used to be with Kanye, is what she's sort of become known as, from what I understand.
well, I think if that was a job, it would have been more than what they had. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like it was way too short to really think of this as a business thing, because like, I don't know, even signing a contract takes like 5 months for Lisa. So I don't even know how they did it so quickly. Like,
I think unofficial business, like she's like, if maybe he slid into her DMs and she's like, Kanye, do I want to get involved in this mess? The pros are my career is going to go poop. Like, I'm going to be very relevant. The negatives are you got to be with Kanye. I'll do it. Like, maybe that's what I think business wise it was, maybe like the pros and cons, like, I will become now famous on a much larger scale than I am now. Because I think she was famous before, but I think she's very famous now.
Yeah, I guess, but also like I think sometimes even if with you have that idea that okay, maybe I will become more relevant because he's a lot more famous than me, maybe you're still you're still like maybe I fall in love with this guy, like I don't know,
Maybe, yeah. I think
because
it's a little bit of all of it, probably.
yeah, definitely. I don't know. I think obviously Kim Kardashian has done that a lot of times, and that's what really has made her famous. It's been
Yeah.
just the men that she has married.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah. Her family's famous in their own right.
don't know. Like I think there has to be a level of I like this person a little bit.
Well, okay, I didn't used to be so conspiratorial as I have in the last year. I think I've definitely like given into it only because I've been like seeking out this type of content more. But I never thought like PR relationships existed, like I always thought like they like each other. Come on, like they're not doing this for the cameras fully. But recently, I saw a video where someone broke down they showed the photos of like the paparazzi photos, but then there was like a behind the scenes video. And now I'm totally convinced that Pete Davidson and the girl he's allegedly with now is bullshit. Like the way that the person that made the video broke it down and was like, okay, look at the situation. Look at how the video is. They stop like in a hallway that's like got a huge window and they know all the paparazzi's there. They took the time to stop and hug each other before walking into their house. I was like, what? This is fake. And I was convinced. I'm like, oh my God, it is real.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think those are real for sure. But I don't know if this one was. Because I also feel like if it's a business transaction, it has to work for both people. And what is Kanye getting out of it?
Yeah, true. I guess like because people were like, oh, he's obsessed with Kim. He's never gonna get over Kim. And now he's got a new girlfriend. So it's like, oh, he's over it. He's not gonna be obsessed with Kim. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think my ex had a new girlfriend, and I still don't think he's over me. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sure he is. But like I don't know. Do people really believe that once you start seeing someone else, you're over like a
Well, I
fucking
think
20-year-old relationship?
no, I don't think so. But I think he was like, making songs about her and like talking about Pete and all this crazy stuff. So maybe like, I don't know, maybe that was a buffer or something. I don't know. This whole thing is like, it only matters when you have people who care about what you're doing in your life. So it's hard for like myself to understand like, well, why would anyone care what I'm doing? But for these people, everyone in the world cares what they're doing. So there has to be some strategy behind it, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And talking about strategy, I think this is exactly what was happening with Balenciaga. Because there's too many things that have come out that just kind of okay. First of all, I have worked on video shoots, I have worked on studio photo shoots. I've done this. This isn't an off the cuff thing. Like these things don't just happen. Like they don't just go like, oh hey, send a photographer there and he'll figure it out. Like it doesn't work like that. You have to think of all the props, everything that you see in the pictures, and so much more. Probably it's got to be bought, it's got to be brought to the thing. There's teams, there's people working on that specific job. Like you would get assistants or whatever whose full job is to just bring like these props to set. Then you'll get people making the set. You'll get it's gonna be a huge team working on this. And
Definitely.
it's probably an in-house thing. This has been thought out in advance, probably months before. Maybe I'm not gonna say years, months before they've thought this out. This is a different team that has thought it out. Like the marketing team, they're like, okay, what are we going to come up with next? Like, what's going to be our next bold move or whatever? So there will be like a board of people talking about these things in the background, discussing, coming up with probably like little, what do you call it? Like
Mood boards.
Things like that. Yeah, exactly. They just kind of come up with that. Then once they have a full concept, they need probably approvals from higher ups and so on. Once they get those, it's only after that that you actually get to the shoot. And
Yeah.
everything needs to be set up. Everything is like thought through, from like the smallest detail to I don't know, to who is the model, for example,
Of course. Yeah.
to like the necklaces on the table. Everything is thought out. So this is no, like there's so many things happening in the background for this to be possible,
Yeah.
that for Balenciaga to then turn around and blame it on the photographer and say this is the photographer's fault
Yeah, right. They just show
is
up
the
to do
most
the job.
bizarre and stupid move that they could have come up with for an apology.
Yeah, you want to look at the apology? And it was
Yes.
posted to their stories, right? Not even to like their actual page. So like if you saw it within those 24 hours, like there you go. But if you didn't, you might not see it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's very cash. It's real cash. I post all sorts of crap on my stories, and that's exactly what Balenciaga was thinking. Like it's not worth a post. It's not important enough to
Yeah.
post it and leave it there.
No,
No,
just
this is
temporary.
just a little casual apology. We sincerely apologize for any offense our holiday campaign may have caused. Our plush bear bags should not have been featured with children in this campaign. Okay. Are you going to put this on adults? Are you going to make this with adults? Because they did it again and then they put a boy in it that is also 3 years old.
Oh Lord. Yeah, I think they should have not had the children. We should not have our children should not have been featured with any of our products. Not our children, but children should not have been in this at all. Let's take them out, not the plush dolls out.
And also, why are you making plush BDSM bear bags for children?
Well, I guess they're saying they're for adults, right? I don't know.
Well, they're not for adults because that's why they have children in the pictures.
Oh.
If they had adults, they would have adults, but like no adults like plush toys for their bags.
I don't know, because fashion, I'm telling you, people want like dirty, stained like shoes for $1,000. I'm like, what? Why? And they're like, it's fashion. I'm like, okay. So I don't know. They tell me that adults want like binky baby suits. I'm like, probably. I have no idea.
Well, I don't know. If you put anything next to a child in your ads, I'm thinking this is for children. I'm not thinking, oh, maybe they made a mistake and
No,
put
I
a
don't
child
think it's a
here by
mistake.
mistake.
No. I think it's like to be like bold, like you said, like, oh, because like the one picture's got like wine glasses and stuff. So it's like, okay, I'm assuming that this is not their child wine glass collection, but maybe they were like, oh, it's to show like the dissonance between childhood and alcoholism. I don't know. I have no idea. Artists are weird.
They are definitely not woke like that. Not Balenciaga, and I will never believe that now.
Yeah.
But
I'll go back to the apology.
So okay, we have immediately removed the campaign from all platforms, and they have removed all their fucking pictures from Instagram. Everything is gone.
Of the kids.
Everything.
On Instagram? They're off Instagram
All
too?
their posts
Wow.
are gone.
Interesting.
There's nothing on their Instagram. We apologize for displaying unsettling documents in our campaign. Now, documents are interesting. We take this matter very seriously and are taking legal action against the parties responsible for creating the set and including unapproved items for our spring 23 campaign photo shoot. We strongly condemn abuse of children in any form. We stand for children's safety and well-being.
Okay.
Okay. Legal action against the parties responsible for creating the set. Usually these sets are created based on very direct and instructions that are like, the instructions will be so clear that they will say, we need a wine glass that says Balenciaga on it. Like,
Yeah, and somebody approved the photos before they go out. Someone even if it was like an out of house, marketing company came in and did all of the work, they still have to get it. They have to present it to the client, Balenciaga, and they would have to go, yes, let's run it, or no, let's not run it. So it's not like they didn't get to see them, I would imagine, before posting them.
And including unapproved items, how would they have items unless they were sent to them
Yeah. Well,
by
I guess-
Balenciaga? Because I'm assuming everything in there is Balenciaga, right?
Well, I don't know. Well, in those main photos, I think, yeah, okay, that sounds right. Like all of this obviously is displayed product, and this too. But then when you go like this screenshot, this is the stuff that I don't know. This is sort of the more conspiratorial part that it's like, what's this paper doing here? What's this notebook doing here? Like, what's this book in the back of the shot doing here? So I think maybe they're talking about that, perhaps.
I mean, yeah, that's probably didn't make them happy, I will say. But I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know about these papers, to be honest. Like, we can talk about it next. But I just think this apology was such an fucking cop out. I've never seen anything like they didn't stand by anything. So essentially, they are blaming this on the photographer. His name is, where's his name?
Gabriel.
Gabriele something. Gabriele Galimberti. Okay, I've put a link in there, and basically Gabriele is like, this is not down to the photographer. It's like, it's so crazy to me that they would say it's the photographer's fault. Anyways, so Gabriele has been blamed for this entire thing because everything like this, all the campaigns just fall on one person always.
Yeah.
And it's usually
Always.
the artist, of course. That's who is at fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's posted a statement in response, and it doesn't sound like he thinks he's guilty.
Okay, so it says, following the hundreds of hate mails and messages I received as a result of the photos I took for the Balenciaga campaign, I feel compelled to make the statement. I am not in a position to comment Balenciaga's choices, but I must stress that I was not entitled in whatsoever manner to neither choose the products, nor the models, nor the combination of the same. As a photographer, I was only and solely requested to lit the given scene and take the shots according to my signature style. As usual, for a commercial shooting, the direction of the campaign and the choice of the objects displayed are not in the hands of the photographer. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, that's how it works. The photographer is there to take pictures.
Yeah,
That's
they're not
it.
set design. That's a whole different. I mean, if it's low budget or something, that's one thing. But this is like a multi-million-dollar, bazillion-dollar company, probably. Like they're very high-end
this
fashion.
is no low budget.
Yeah, they're not
situation.
low budget.
No, and yeah, no name. What's wrong with saying I screwed up? I think they can get sued for if they actually say. Basically, the way that every single apology is phrased is in a way that they cannot be sued. So they always say
Sure.
like, "I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry if this maybe caused you harm." Like,
Yeah,
you know,
admit guilt.
yeah, because if they say, "I'm sorry, I caused you harm," then they can literally be sued for it. And I think obviously they will have like a legal team. I don't even know how their legal team approved this apology. This is such a bullshit apology.
This one or the other one?
Not this one, the one
The-
that Balenciaga came up
stories?
with. Imagine
Yeah.
for a company of that size, imagine just how many lawyers they have working for them.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they're like, okay, don't admit guilt. Make it seem like it's out of our hands and we deleted it. That's what we did. Get over it, everybody. Like that's how it seemed.
Yeah, yeah. But I guess the conspiracies are that perhaps this was not necessarily such a mistake that they came up with this, and perhaps it wasn't that they didn't know what they were doing and they suddenly put a BDSM plush toy in the hands of 3-year-olds because they just made a little mistake, but that perhaps this was the plan all along. And I can see that, and I think just considering, because I worked with Pepsi at one point, and there's so many. Just it's not this like easy, like quick little casual shoot that you do. Everything is
it's
thought out,
involved.
everything is planned, and it's not possible that they didn't know what they were doing. And they would have like fashion companies usually would have in order to come up with something, they would have a concept, and the concept was probably like BDSM, and how do we make it racy? We put children in it. Like,
How do we
I'm
make it
sorry, but this
worse?
is,
Put
I
children.
mean, there's people who have come up with the term heroin chic. Like,
Yeah.
these are fashion companies that come up with that. You know,
Yeah. And they have to
if
keep getting more and more outrageous because that's how the press coverage goes. So, maybe they thought, oh, this will be edgy. It'll get people talking. And then we'll sell a bunch of shoes because Balenciaga's like in the spotlight. But, there seems to be a line that goes from, ooh, edgy, I like it, into, no, this is unacceptable. But sometimes people like that even more. And I don't know what their sales are like or whatever, but I'm sure there is a market for like over the top. Oh my God, I can't believe they did that. I'm going to buy it now. I'm sure there is a market. And I don't know if they like just took it too far, or is this exactly what they wanted to happen to get this crazy backlash? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think obviously what they wanted was the heroin chic response, which is like, so cool and edgy and whatever.
Yeah.
And that's not what they got, because this is child pornography.
Yeah. Do you want to read the last part of it, or the last of his statement about the pedophilia?
Oh,
part?
sorry, I
No, it's
didn't
okay.
realize we were going to finish.
That's okay. This part he kind of addresses that head on a little bit. So this is from the photographer again. So he says, I suspect that any person prone to pedophilia searches on the web and has unfortunately a too easy access to images completely different than mine, absolutely explicit in their awful content. Lynching like these are addressed against wrong targets and distract from the real problem and criminals. I guess because he's saying he's being lynched from taking these photos. Also, I have no connection with the photo where a Supreme Court document appears. That one was taken in another set by other people and was falsely associated with my photos. So, in case you're wondering.
Okay. That is, yeah, I'm imagining that he was probably like under a lot of fire for this, but I don't know. I don't, like, there is no way you can convince me this was his fault. Like, it's just,
No,
I'm
I
sorry.
think, yeah, I don't think so. It doesn't make sense as to why, and if there's multiple photos with multiple photographers, how are you going to blame him for? I think people just didn't know that he didn't do the whole campaign. So they're saying you're responsible because look at what Balenciaga's saying, is saying that you're responsible. So they're throwing the blame around to each other.
Yeah, well, I think Balenciaga is not necessarily saying that he did it. I just think they're saying it's not their fault, and whatever. It's definitely their fault, and Balenciaga should be just fucking saying that they mistakenly thought child pornography is like the way to go for
Yeah.
this campaign. And they realized that maybe 3-year-olds are not all that. 3-year-olds shouldn't be like put in this kind of situations. I mean, I would agree with people saying, yeah, the kids, just take the kids offset. If you're the parent or if you're the caregiver or whatever, the person in charge. But who is going to say no to Balenciaga? It's such a big company.
Yeah.
Like, if they come and want to sponsor you or want to hire your child, and they're probably offering so much money, I can't really, like, I don't know how you say no, because I don't think these things are necessarily told to them in advance. They
And we're
probably,
assuming the parents are not there for their own, personal reasons. Like, they've got their kids in modeling young. Not that that's inherently bad, but it's already showing like, okay, maybe you have some goals for your kids that they are not able to make themselves at this age. So you're already probably dealing with someone who's a little bit maybe more self-focused than the average parent, perhaps.
I think it's just usually parents would sign up the child for a sort of marketing agency of sorts, or modeling agency. Yeah, and then this agency probably got a bunch of kids, like a bunch of pictures or videos of the kids that they have in their agency. They sent them to Balenciaga. Balenciaga picked a few of them,
Sure.
and that's how it starts. Like, so I think at the beginning, when it first, in fact, I don't think they would know until like this, they see the set, because Balenciaga has no reason why they need to show parents the set in advance. Like they're just like, your child's a model, we're putting them in an ad, like that's it. That's pretty much, I think, I don't think they're gonna be like, we have a BDSM theme for this, you guys.
I think a
you
lot of
guys okay with
parents still would be like, that's fine. Honestly, I think that's kind of shocking maybe, but
Well, maybe some of them, but I
Some.
don't know if all
Thank you.
of them would be.
have you ever seen Bruno with Sacha
No.
Baron Cohen? Okay, there's this one scene in the movie where they have kids. They're like, okay, the guy comes out and says, oh, thank you for being here. You know, their kids are going to be models. And they're like, we're going to put your kids like on a crucifix and have like bees like bite them. And like they tell them all this crazy stuff that they're going to do. And all the parents are like, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Keep going. And they're like, okay. And they keep like upping the ante. And it's like real, apparently, I don't know if it's real, but they make it seem like it's real parents who are agreeing to these crazy things for their kids.
Wow.
So-
Okay.
You never know.
I don't know. I'm assuming I'm gonna choose to believe that there's parents out there who would probably not want their kids to go through these things, but I just personally do not believe that they would know, because there's no way. You're just gonna hire them, and then they have to do whatever they have to do on the day. That's it. But you don't expect this. Like, this is not what you expect. So usually you would have signed a contract in advance anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. I'm not blaming the parents for this. I'm blaming Balenciaga for this.
Yeah, I just think, and someone asked a question like, would my mom, if I booked the shoot, would my mom have said no? No, she would have been like, you do what you're paid to do, make me look good and make the company look good. Don't say anything, as a kid, if you were like put in a bad situation. So I just feel like some parents, they could have left. They see a BDSM bear and say, my kid's not being a part of this. So whoever's kid still was on the set, they didn't choose to leave, because you have to have a parent or some sort of guardian on set. So, I mean, they are somewhat responsible, not fully responsible, but in my opinion, like, they don't get a free pass because they didn't know. It's like you were on set with them. Like, you saw, they didn't, I'm assuming, Photoshop in a BDSM bear. Like, they were like, hey, here's some wine glasses, have your kids stand there. And yeah, I mean, your choice, whatever. Like, I'm not saying there's anything morally necessarily wrong, but to say like, oh, they had no idea, I think, unless they were shooting in front of a green screen, and then that's a different story. But
No, they were definitely, no, that's not a green screen at all.
yeah, I think there was a lot of layers
that is a
of
set.
allowance. Whoever came up with this idea, like, is responsible for the problem, but there's a lot of people who went along for the ride that could have stopped it perhaps earlier, and they didn't. But that's with every problem.
I mean, I wonder, yes, but at the same time, like, let's say a parent is there and notices, and they're like, okay, I want my kid off of this. Let's just break off the contract. They take the kid out. Immediately, in the next second, Balenciaga is on the phone to the modeling agency getting another child through. Like,
Of course. But
I think that would have been, it would have had to be like everyone that was invited on set that says no. And I'm sorry, but it's just unrealistic, because like, these are things that are paid like probably very good money for. I just don't think it would happen.
yeah, I think so too. And that's the reason why people do stuff. It's like, well, if it's not me, it's not my kid, it's going to be the next one. So it might as well be my kid. But that's when it becomes like accepted. Like, no one says anything because everyone's like, well, there's just someone else that's going to do it. That's every single controversy ever. You know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think people who are in this industry are a little bit probably already more okay with things than the average parent would be, I guess, was my point, is to say, like, if you're already taking your kid to a high fashion model shoot and that's something that you want for your kid, I mean, you're probably going to be okay with more racy things, most likely.
Yeah. I honestly just can't relate, because I'm not a parent, so I don't understand really. I don't know how I would react.
Yeah.
I can only think in theory, because I have some moral values. But I wonder, when you have that instinct as a parent to protect your child, how that comes in and how that stops you or makes you do certain things or not do certain things. So I personally don't know what it's like to be a parent. in that way.
Yeah. Well, me neither.
I
I don't have kids
I
either.
probably wouldn't let my parents do anything. My kids do anything. I would probably,
Yeah.
if I would be like my parents, I would probably not let them ever leave the house until they are 18.
Yeah.
So
Not that that's the best course forward, but I think
but that's
everyone's
just how I would
parenting-
know how to be.
Yeah, everyone's parenting style is different, and you're not putting your kid in harm's way, but I don't think anyone now seeing it in hindsight would go, oh, that parent, wow, what a jerk for taking his kid off the set or taking their kid off of this.
Well, maybe there are some. Who knows?
Yeah,
we
maybe.
don't know. We wouldn't know because we're talking about the one who did accept.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just think usually, I mean, I guess I'm just based on my experience working in sets, and it's just, it can be very chaotic. It can be a lot of things will change. Like you go on a set on the day, and there's a lot of things that are planned, but like you usually, it's just like a lot of people working there, and there's like everyone is moving around, and like people are like probably fixing up the set constantly, probably being like, oh, maybe we should move this glass here and we should do this. Like I've done that sort of thing. It's just, it can be very difficult to, I don't know. I'm not prone to blaming the parents because I just think, I don't know if they knew that item was going to be there. I don't know if they even saw it. Or it's, I don't know.
I'm more okay with blaming parents because I know that a lot of them are not good. So I'm like, oh, they could be held responsible too. Not for the whole thing, for the record. I don't think that they caused this problem. But, I don't think some of them, even if they were like, hey, we're going to do a BDSM promotion for Balenciaga. Do you want your kid in? I think a lot of parents that are in this industry would say, yes, awesome. Let's get it. Our little baby, little Johnny and Molly love BDSM. Like they would just, whatever it takes. And I just think that's part of the industry. But that's my own personal, I'm upset personally about that stuff. So I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too personal.
Yeah. To be honest, my experience working in this industry was in a very small sort of industry. It was like, because Scotland's industry is very small.
Sure.
So I didn't have the same exposure that you would get like in places like LA or New York or Paris or London. And I think it's a lot nicer when it's small because
Sure.
there's just a lot of levels of control, I guess. So maybe it's true. Maybe like in LA, for example, it would be a completely different story.
Like the
In fact, I
mom that
think
we
that's
covered
probably
last week.
the case.
Like the mom that was like, has her kid on, in every TikTok video, the one that called the photo shoot studio place and made such a big stink about it. Like, I think she would have her kid do something like this. Like, yeah, of course, she'll be great. She'll do whatever you want. And like, just so focused on, the product and being a good employee at 4 years old. Like, I think that mom would be number one to be like, yeah, sure, go, high fashion, perfect.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder if she'd be jealous of the child. Maybe she'd just not allow
Probably.
the child to go just out of jealousy.
Yeah, maybe. But also tell everyone, like, my daughter is a high fashion model at 4. I birthed her. I don't know. Anyways,
This
I'm
makes
interested in
me
this.
sad. I
in
don't
the-
have any I never try to impress. Like I don't understand people who want to impress others. Like
You have a pure heart. That's why I think it's harder to see.
well,
like people
maybe,
are
or
crazy.
maybe I've checked out of reality. I don't know.
I don't trust anybody.
Something to talk about in therapy next time.
Tell your therapist. I've been thinking about children on photo shoots this week. Okay,
Oh gosh,
this is
I
how
don't
I
think she
feel.
has time for this.
Yeah, what do you think about it?
Yeah. But yeah, so in terms of the conspiracies, basically the things that people saw in some of the pictures were sort of, it looked like they were documents pulled out for research to see if they're gonna get in trouble or how they can get away with this.
Yes.
And this is why I don't think they are conspiracies, because I can imagine that people were thinking this through a lot in advance.
Yeah. So so let me just read this part because it kind of explains it a little bit in this Daily Mail article. It says, perhaps even more bizarrely. Okay, so they're just explaining what the photo shoot was, which we already talked about. A Twitter user discovered that one of the photos in the shoot contained an excerpt from a 2008 U.S. Supreme Court opinion in United States versus Williams, which upheld part of a federal child pornography law, which Twitter's own fact checkers confirmed. So, okay, so in this, I guess it's this one. So this is the one that you screenshotted. So it's Balenciaga showing off this bag. So no children were in this one, in this specific photo, obviously, or this specific shoot, because this is a different photographer, but part of the same campaign, presumably. There is this specific court case that has to deal with child pornography.
Yeah, and it's not looking good. It's the Ashcroft versus Free Speech Coalition. And it is a U.S. Supreme Court case which struck down two overbroad provision, I don't know what this means, of the Child Porn Prevention Act of 1996. Essentially, okay, I'm just going to summarize. Essentially what this, because I was reading from Wikipedia there. What this means is that there are a couple of loopholes for artists and I don't know what else, or arts or not.
Jeffrey Epstein.
I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be like, that, but I think, I don't know. Let me see if I can find the loopholes.
Well, it sort of tells, I don't know if this one explains the full thing, but it says the ruling determined that offering or requesting to transfer, sell, deliver, or trade child porn did not violate the First Amendment in the United States Constitution, even if a person charged under the code did not, in fact, possess child porn with which to trade. The late Justice Scalia noted specifically that offers to engage in illegal transactions are categorically excluded from First Amendment protection. Okay, so that's sort of heady, but I guess it's like free. Do you have a right to this, or because it's inherently illegal, do you not have a right to it? So I guess that's what they were discussing.
Yeah.
And then it says, Balenciaga released a statement Tuesday apologizing for the photo shoot and seemingly suggesting they would take legal action against Galimberti, that's the Gabriel guy, and anyone else involved. The statement reads, okay, we already read that part. So, okay, here's another one. What the fuck?
Oh my God. Like,
What
is that? How is this?
So what's that? I forget. I'm going to look who it is. Was it Fabine? Who likes it? Somebody in the comments said, I really like fashion like this. Do you like this one too? The dirty one? I could get behind maybe the multicolored tie-dye bear, but this one just looks gross to me.
I get it. I can imagine maybe I would like something like this that had no teddy bear. Like something like that, but make it a bag, like it's a bag and it's got all these belts like that. Mm-hmm. I could see myself wear that because I sometimes wear like gothic whatever, but just very subtle goth basically.
I like it, subtle goth.
But I like, that's why it's just the teddy bear thing that's very for children. Like I'm sure that some adults would like a teddy bear for a bag, but I just think mostly kids, mostly little girls would be like, oh my God, I want that. Like they would very rich, very rich little girls. Like,
yeah, I think that
they would
I
be
think
like,
having
Mommy,
the children
I
models,
need myself the little Balenciaga teddy bear. Like that's what they would say.
Yeah, I think having children, model it makes it even more confusing, because if it's for adults, that's one thing, but like have it with an adult. Having with the kid makes it like, okay, this is for children. This is what it's for. It's confusing as a consumer of like, what's the point of this?
I don't think it's confusing at all. I think it's very clear. It's for children.
Yes.
And that's the problem. That's what they're trying to say, that they're trying to turn it around and be like, no, you guys misunderstood. Like nobody misunderstood. They understood perfectly.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I have no idea. Like I said, any fashion show I've ever seen, I'm like, what is this? I don't understand any of it and what the point of it is. So I feel like I'm just way behind with understanding like the artistic vision of things. Like, oh, okay.
I can never even wear things that I could never imagine wearing things that are, like on a runway. Like they look so bad and uncomfortable. Like I just, I need practical clothes.
Yeah, I
Like it
think
needs
most
to be
people do.
warm, comfortable. Like, I mean, I guess I did wear bras, which are not comfortable, but like, I don't think it's socially acceptable not to wear them. So
Apparently, you can wear whatever you want. I think. I don't know. I see people wearing crazy stuff all the time, especially on TikTok. I'm like, whoa. Okay, did you hear this part about the photographer about Toy Stories or whatever?
yeah,
Okay. Do you want to read it or is it not important?
I can see it.
Okay.
It's too small for me.
Sorry. The photographer, Gabriel, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. So Gabriel. Gabriele promoted the images as part of a project series he called Toy Stories in an apparent reference to the Disney Pixar film series, according to the Daily Dot. He writes of the project on his website, for over 2 years, I visited more than 50 countries and created colorful images of boys and girls in their homes and neighborhoods with their most prized possessions, their toys. From Texas to India, Malawi, I don't know, I'm sorry if you're from there, to China, Iceland, Morocco, and Fiji. I recorded the spontaneous and natural joy that unites kids despite their diverse backgrounds, whether the child owns a veritable fleet of miniature cars or a single stuffed monkey. Okay, I've seen this series. And I did find it to be very well done. It's like kids in different countries, like in a hut in, I don't know, some far out like rural tribe. They have like one tiny toy and then them taking the picture and then taking a picture in like, London, and the kid's got 100 Legos and it's the same setup and it shows like what, kids of the same age have. I thought it was a very compelling series of photos. So that's the same guy. So they're basically trying to recreate that like very artistic, non-commercial like photo series into a commercialized thing for Balenciaga.
Yeah, because leave it to fashion brands to take something and make a hell of a lot of profit out of it.
Yes.
Just take something that is nice and genuine and sell it for thousands.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the inspiration. And this is like not for a brand. This is just to like more journalistic, to take a picture to show like, okay, these are different kids around the world. And I remember seeing this a while back and I was like, dang, like that is very, like if you were to see this at a gallery, you'd be like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
And he got to go all around the world to show like, okay, these are little kids with their toys.
And I don't see a single BDSM one.
Well, I guess these are real kids with their real toys. But I guess that's why Balenciaga saw this and was like, oh, we'll hire him to do this for... So you sort of... Now it makes more sense, I guess. They were trying to recreate this and put their own, like, this is what a Balenciaga kid has. Wine glasses and BDSM stuff.
Balenciaga kids are way ahead of the curve, I will say.
Yeah, apparently. They're more mature because they're high fashion kids. So it makes sense why that photographer was selected and chosen.
Yeah, and then to blame him?
Yeah.
I don't know if they blamed him, but just to insinuate that it was his fault?
Yeah. So I sort of get it. Okay, I get it now, what the whole point makes more sense now. Why he was involved and what they were trying to accomplish. Okay. Bad attempt.
Yeah.
Bad execution. Okay. So he did address the controversy because he updated it like 3 hours ago. We already talked about that. That's the photographer. Okay. It says, along with a leather S&M getup, the plush toy is also wearing what looks like to be a black lace thong. I didn't know that either. In the background of the image, a blue toy bag has been placed on a side table and is wrapped in more studded leather bands. Although the bags are not available to purchase on their website yet, the images have been produced to promote the items in their gift range, including reusable coffee cups and a dog harness. Unsurprisingly, the campaign images have caused a stir among parents on social media who branded them creepy and uncomfortable. Frightening how many adults must have been involved in this, one Twitter user mused. Parents, photographers, creative directors, copywriters, design agency staff, producers, managers, advertisers, and not one of them thought, hang on a minute. Exactly. There's like so many layers there that allowed this to happen. That's why I'm like, it's not just the photographer. It's not just the parents. It's not just the creative director. It's all of them in little ways.
It's easily 3 teams. I will never believe that this is less than 3 teams, because one of the teams would have come up with a concept. Then they would need to send it to higher ups for approvals and for whatever, plus the manufacturing. 4. They would need to manufacture the concept to make the bags per se.
Yeah.
Literally make them from things that are BDSM. And then they would at least need a creative agency to make it, to take the pictures, to like whatever. This is easily 4 large teams.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sort of, I mean, they're all to blame and different levels and different severities. But the one thing I'm most interested in, and I think some people too are in the comments are also confused about, which I am as well, like the Supreme Court part. Like, why is that there? Is that on purpose? And there was other things too. Was there something else that was like put in there that was like, wait, why is that there? And it almost seems like that is, whoever did that part is sort of more planning something that is more than just like oversight. Like, oh, what, they missed the opportunity to say no. Like there was forethought into it.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I think the way I see it happen, the way I would have done it if that was me doing the photos, I can imagine I would be there and be like, I don't have enough cluster on the desk. Can you bring all the papers that you have around, just put them around? That's what I kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt a little bit here, but
who would have printed out that Supreme Court case? You think they just had it there on set just randomly?
Well, I would say that they have a lot of things on set because they would need like people to sign contracts to do things.
The Supreme Court case printed though? Well, who's signing that? just to like light reading?
Just to show parents who want to.
Look, it's not illegal, guys. Look, read the Supreme Court.
Child porn is okay. Look. Yeah.
I don't know. That seems planted to me. And especially that it becomes like in the shot where you're able, someone on Twitter is able to like zoom in and read it. I don't know. That to me seems like it's there for a reason, personally.
Definitely.
Or put it like upside down. Put the blank page out, you know? Well,
if it is a mistake, it's a very unfortunate mistake, I'll say. And I can see why people would think it's planted. And it could totally be planted because it's you have to also realize that somebody looked at these pictures and picked them.
Yeah, definitely. And they could have photoshopped it out. If they go, oh, what's this writing here? Let's make sure this is nothing that's going to make us look bad. Let's erase it, Photoshop it or whatever. But it's clearly in the photo. So that's why I'm like, it's got to be there for a reason.
But those people don't do the kind of investigations that Twitter does.
Yeah.
They would just should. I'm just imagining Anna Wintour being like, oh yes, this, yeah, totally. That looks perfect.
Yeah. I'm on the conspiracy train. I'm like, got my hat on. I'm like, they did this to send a signal to somebody. Like, this is what we're doing and we're okay with it.
Wait, let me see if I understand. You think that somebody in the team knew what this is, put it there on purpose to
Yeah.
be seen in pictures,
Yeah.
and did this to send a message to the world that child porn is not okay
Is okay. Is
or
cool.
is okay.
Is okay. Yeah. Or like some sort of
Not
wink
that-
wink, like we're aware, but we're just edgy, so we're fine with this.
They were definitely aware of what they were doing. Like they just, I can't imagine that they wouldn't know.
That's my theory. I don't know. I could be wrong. I just don't think people print out Supreme Court, cases on printed paper for no reason and bring it to set when there's like no purpose behind it. And then go like, yeah, can I borrow that piece of paper? I don't know. I just find that to be more unlikely. Like, I don't know what their point is, but I think there is a point that they're trying to make somehow to somebody.
So you think Balenciaga is trying to tell the world this is what we think about this, about whatever your reaction will be?
I guess, yeah, I suppose. They're making some sort of
Wow.
statement.
Yeah.
I just don't see
am
the
going to lean.
accidental angle.
I know, but I'm going to lean towards this was a total accident and they didn't see it.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. Okay, do you want to talk about the part with Candace Owens?
Because I feel like if they must have known that if people kind of catch on to that, they are not going to be happy.
Or maybe the right people will be happy and the wrong people will just be mad no matter what. So they're like, we're going to make a stance that the people we're trying to attract will get.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's a stretch. But this part sort of ties into why Kim was being, questioned more than Kanye. And it makes sense that Candace, who is like Kanye's bestie now for some reason, they infamously now were just spotted together at the Paris Fashion Week with the White Lives Matter t-shirts together. So of course, Candace now, who's going to, be besties with Kanye, is now going to criticize his ex-wife, Kim, for still supporting Balenciaga, but not, beat up Kanye's ass because, they're up Kanye's ass already. It says, conservative commentator Candace Owens called on Kim Kardashian and sister Khloe to condemn the photo shoots. Owens tweeted, "It was so great to see Kim Kardashian use her platform to condemn anti-Semitism. Let's see if she'll use that same platform to condemn the blatant child pornography documents being promoted in Balenciaga ads, since she is one of the faces of the brand." As recently as Monday, Kardashian was seen wearing Balenciaga as she left her LA office after a shoot. To me, that seems like that's also making a statement. Like, I'm in support of this as well. In my opinion.
I don't know. This is too far for me.
Why would she wear the Balenciaga? She doesn't have any other clothes she could possibly wear when this is like blowing up online.
Do you really think that Kim was just aware of the news?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe. Who knows? I don't know.
And then she was the reality star.
I feel like I'm giving people way too much the benefit of the doubt in this episode. I'm so sorry, you guys. I don't know what's with me. I'm in a good mood, I suppose.
No, it's okay. It's
I'm
good.
like, people
It's
are not
important.
that bad. But no, you're right. It's probably...
I don't know. Maybe people aren't that bad, and I'm the negative one, and like too like critical, and I'm gonna be now going, the government is after us. Like maybe that's where I'm headed, but I don't know. Like I'm trying to see the way that it could be all just a big misunderstanding, and I'm like not finding it yet.
Yeah.
Be a lot of mistakes that had to be made in a row without anyone knowing anything, But who knows? But I don't know. I know nothing. But Kim was seen wearing Balenciaga and Adidas, two of the designers who dropped West after his recent anti-Semitic rants. Kim wore a top from the two designers' collaboration, a long-sleeve black shirt with white stripes on the sleeve, and the names of the brands placed in the center of her chest. Yeah, okay.
I'm with Z. I don't think Kim follows the news. Hi, Z. I don't think so. Because, do you imagine if she followed the news? Like, she's in the news nonstop.
Yeah, but, no one around her either is like, yo, you're wearing Balenciaga. Did you just You just hear about like the stuff that's blowing up, or it's just like, no, Balenciaga's so good. And was this a Balenciaga Adidas collab or something?
I have
guess.
no idea what that is, but that looks like the Adidas logo.
It's ugly. Sorry.
I mean, it's
High
a
fashion. I wear this
is
shit all the
ugly.
time. No one thinks I'm fashionable. I wear big sweatshirts with no pants. Everyone's like, put some pants on. This is not high fashion. And I'm like, look at Kim. I'm trying to be Kim Kardashian.
This looks like a walk of shame to me.
Yeah. She's leaving the studio. She's like, did you hold on, guys? It's midnight, but my eyes need to be covered.
Oh, yeah, I can't be seen.
I don't want
I'm
anyone to know
hiding.
it's me.
Yeah, I'm hiding behind these glasses.
Okay, here's one thing that totally unrelated to everything we're talking about. A woman literally walking down the street in America becomes Kim flaunted her toned legs. Like, what is that about these media outlets? She's not flaunting her toned legs. She's literally walking.
Well, women doing anything is, oh my God.
Flaunting.
Like, oh, this isn't just the media. This is everyone. Like the minute I talk to a person of the opposite sex, everyone thinks I'm flirting with them.
Yeah.
I've been so frustrated by this. Like this other day, I was literally talking to a pal about his date. He was going on a date with someone, and I told him where to go. And, I was just asking, like, how was the place? Like, how was the date? He was telling me all about it. And somebody came to me and was like, are you flirting with Richard? I was like, Jesus. Okay.
I get, yeah. That becomes a thing very quickly. Like, you got to be, as a woman, you got to be careful who you talk to, unfortunately.
So I think women doing anything is considered flaunting, flirting, anything.
It's
definitely not what they're doing, though. It's definitely not what they're doing.
Like a woman at the beach showing off her curves. It's like, what? No, she's in the ocean enjoying a day at the beach. She's not flaunting or showing off her curves. Literally get a new fucking line.
This reminds me of that TikTok. There was a TikTok who was like, oh, men just think or like not just men, people in general, that I'm showing off my boobs, or am I just a woman and have boobs?
Yeah.
Or,
maybe men get it too. Like, oh, Matthew McConaughey shows off his six pack while, sitting at his house. I don't know if it's the same for men or if it's a woman's issue or what, or if women just get talked about more in the media this way, but it's really frustrating at this point. It's like,
I don't think this is a men's issue. I'm sure that it is when it's flattering or whatever, but I don't think that men are asked the same things. Like I've seen the most bizarre questions being asked. Like even Taylor Swift was asked things, Jennifer Lawrence. I mean, like just some that I can think of right off the bat right now, but they were asked like all sorts of things. Women are always asked, like, oh, so how are you gonna
be a mom and have a job?
Yeah, how do you do the work-life balance? It's like men are never asked.
Yeah,
women are always asked, like, have you lost weight? Have you gained weight? Like, it's very fucking awkward. The kind of stuff that journalists feel like entitled to know about some person. Like, I would never ask that. Not even like a normal person that I've met. I wouldn't ask that.
As a woman, what do you think about when you're flaunting your toned legs as you navigate through the world? What do you think that message shows to young girls? Like, I don't know. I'm fucking walking. Sorry. I don't know. I think it just makes nothing. A woman walking outside who's got fame a story, because it becomes, instead of woman walks to car, becomes famous, reality star flaunted her toned legs as she emerged wearing black flip-flops. Like, oh my God.
This is in the same vein as those people thinking or saying that, if a woman slept with a lot of men, then she's a whore. Mm-hmm. And if a man slept with a lot of women, then he's a badass.
He's a bachelor.
He's a very successful one.
Yes.
But a woman doing the same thing, it's definitely inappropriate
okay. Yeah,
and
I
absolutely
agree.
horrendous. And how dare she? And she's not wife material, and she's not girlfriend material, and she's not friend material. She's nothing. Because
Yeah.
yeah, that double standard is there.
Oh yeah, it still
It's never
exists.
going anywhere.
Very Andrew Tate of them to come up with those concepts.
Oh my god, have you seen that he joined them? He became Muslim or something.
A what?
He joined Islam, I think.
Oh, okay. I thought he said something else. I was like, oh my God, what? Interesting. I mean, I guess that sort of makes sense, I suppose. I don't know. Like very defined gender roles, maybe. That's something that appeals to him.
I don't know. That's a different story for another day. But
Story for another day.
yeah,
Okay.
it's double standard.
You want to hear how they describe a woman with hair on her
Yeah,
head?
let's hear it.
Her hair dangled down her chest in loose, wispy waves, and her natural beauty was enhanced with a slick of lip gloss touching up her look. Is this a fucking
Wow.
like what's the guy from Can't Believe It's Not Butter, Fabio novel, or is this a woman walking to her car? We should do a series. Oh my God.
I would say it's a very talented person that wrote that description. They should think about writing some literature instead of tabloids, because that could go down well in a novel. Like, I would totally be up for that.
Yes, agreed. This was written by Christine Rendon and Stephen Lepore and Lydia Hawken. So 2 women and a man.
Yeah.
Who is keeping the standards up? Probably whoever is the editor. This is how we write in this publication. Stupidly.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Anyways,
that's pretty much the gist of this story, you guys. Yeah, I don't know. I find that to be. I also find the bags to be ugly, and I'm not interested. But this is it.
yeah, I'm also not interested. I wasn't interested before. I'm not interested now, but
I would never even afford it. So, because I think these bags would be like 10 grand or something. Like I'm never gonna afford that kind of bag. So, but it's just interesting to see where we are at in terms of child porn.
I know I haven't watched this, and I hate Tucker Carlson, but they covered it. Do you want to watch the report of what Fox News has to say about this?
Is Fox News gonna copyright claim us?
They shouldn't, because journalism should be of fair use. I don't think
they've
we've ever
done
been
it
claimed.
before. Am I
Fox?
not? Am I wrong? Somebody copyrighted us, and I think it was
Oprah, but that's different.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I
you're
think
convinced.
well, I shouldn't be taking any chances, but I think journalism has been okay. I've played like Today's Show a million times on CBS Morning, and it's been okay.
Okay.
I'll just fight it to the death. That's what mood I'm in today. Fight it to the death. Appeal the disputes. It's my catchphrase today. Okay, hopefully this is in English. Let's see.
But it's not just the sexual mutilation of children in hospitals. This is part of a larger trend, and the trend is this. Adults crossing the line, and it has always been a bright line, into deep involvement with the sexuality of children. That has always been, and must in a civilized society always be, the most forbidden thing. It's considered unacceptable even among prison inmates. But now it seems to be growing in its prevalence. Consider the latest ad for the clothing brand Balenciaga. This was just uploaded on Instagram. As you can see, the photo shoot they're using to sell their products features a young girl holding a teddy bear in a bondage outfit. Then, in case you missed the point, the photo shoot also contains this image. It shows several documents. Most of them aren't visible, but what you can see when you zoom in, and of course the point is that you see it, is a reference to a U.S. Supreme Court case called Ashcroft versus Free Speech Coalition. That case struck down a law against kiddie porn. What is this? Well, it is what it appears to be. It's an endorsement of kiddie porn, of child pornography. What else could it be? We wanted to know. So we reached out today to Balenciaga to get their explanation, and they didn't respond. So we're going to have to take that on face value and ask, Where's the moral outrage? We have an entire industry
There is
in
moral
this
outrage.
country comprised of moral outrage merchants. If you've ever been on Twitter, you know what we mean. Truly, an entire sector of our economy is devoted to attacking people for falling short of the mark. And here is a high-end retailer promoting kiddie porn in an ad on Instagram, and nobody notices. There's
A lot of people notice.
Kitty porn, can you just stop calling it, like, it's just such a
That's what they call it here.
pejorative way. Oh God.
That's a common, thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what direction he's going into. Like, I don't understand what he's talking about. How is
Yeah.
there's so much moral outrage.
Yeah, he's like, no one specifically is blaming me for this today or something. Like, I don't know. Like, there is more outrage, but it's just not against the same people that usually are on the chopping block today. I don't know. So he's choosing not to see it, I guess. I don't know. I hate Tucker so much. But I'm surprised. And I guess I wonder if Kanye was still associated with them, if they would have also looked the other way on this story, because they're all like in support of Kanye right now too. It seems Fox News is like, yeah, we love a free speech warrior.
Nah, I don't think they have any
Loyalty.
moral backbone.
Well, sometimes they tend to ignore things that are like, you know, they call, I don't know, it's all biased obviously, but I'm surprised honestly that they're even talking about this in a way. But I don't know how it's like tied. Like, some people were saying the opening, like about the whatever, it was sort of like tied into like trans rights at the beginning. I didn't watch the whole piece, so I don't know what he was talking about previously. But that seems to be their angle. Like, oh look, like trans kids' rights, very similar to this thing about, you know, kiddie porn. It's like, okay, I don't know about
I
that.
don't think that's even what.
Yeah.
That is insane to put these two things together. No, what I thought was he was going to do is just tie it to the left, say it's all the left's fault because like we're too open-minded or something. And this isn't a political issue. This is an issue of a fucking fashion brand trying to be edgy.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
I don't think they care about. Probably they have politicians in their pocket, but that's a different thing.
I think the owners of a high-end fashion brand would probably align with Republican ideals in a lot of ways, financially at least, tax-wise. So
I don't think they align with anything. They just align with whatever makes
Capitalism.
them money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who supports capitalism the most? Republicans, I think. Libertarians, maybe, actually.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, this is something I've been sitting on for so long. This is completely unrelated. There's this like cartoon made by libertarian, like not the party, but like a group that really likes libertarians, and they made a whole kids show. It is so weird. I've watched it like, and I don't know. It's almost like it's well made. It's almost like Dragon Tales, but for libertarian ideals. And it's so funny because from my understanding, I don't know much about it and I don't really get too much into parties and political stuff. But from my understanding, libertarians are like, do whatever you want to do, like have your free will be placed into the world, be allowed to do whatever you want to do. But then they have this extremely indoctrinating content for children targeted at children and parents to try to get your kids to get on the same page as you with your political beliefs. I just think that's so interesting and sort of hypocritical.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I always thought of libertarians as being about the individual and individualistic, and
Exactly.
the community doesn't count. It's the individual that counts, and I find that to be kind of lonely and false. Because I think ultimately you can try to live outside a community, but
You can't.
you still do. You still have to pay taxes. You still have to do a lot of things that are community based, that whether you like it or not. So
Yeah, you can't. You mean, if you want to live in the woods, I mean, that's a whole different story. But if you're living in a society, you have to. Community has to be a part of it. There's no other way to do it unless it's like survival of the fittest. And I think sometimes they think like, yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Have everyone fight to the death, and then whoever lasts can just do whatever they want. It's like, oh, okay. It's called the Tuttle Twins. Tuttle, the Tuttle Twins, if you're interested in looking it up.
No idea what it is, but yeah, it sounds awful. So
Yeah. Anyways, we can go down that rabbit hole on a different day.
yeah, thank you guys for being here. We're trying to just sort of keep things under an hour and a half. So
We did it, basically. Not
we-
under, but
well,
around.
barely, but we're kind of there. So give us another year.
Yeah. We did good for a little bit, and then we went right back to 4 hours, and now we're trying again.
Yeah. I think the 4-hour ones were a bit a bit long.
Draining emotionally, mentally,
Well,
physically.
that, and also we have to remember that we are doing this on public platforms, and then they can come after us for things we say. So I don't want to be like exhausted by hour 4 and say all the dumb shit, and then people putting that in front of lawyers and judges. So
Yeah. And then we play a 2-second, jingle, and then the whole thing is, paid out to someone else anyways. So I'm personally
Yeah.
offended.
I know. I'm sorry. That sucks. That sucks. It's happened
okay.
so many times on Cringe-Fluencers. It's crazy. Like
I
I think
know.
at least half the times that we've gone live, we've been demonetized.
And the problem is too, it's like, okay, there's options. They give you options. You can dispute it, you can cut it, you can mute it, or you can do something else. But the system is so slow that sometimes the video is unavailable for anyone to watch for like 3 days in the process of us muting a 20-second clip out of a 4-hour stream. And then no one cares anymore. And I get that. Like, no one wants to watch something that's 5 days old that, came out, and now no one, it's just, I know I'm like first world problems.
I think
but
it's just that people don't want to watch it. But like, I think the algorithm only pushes it for like a couple of days, and then after that, it's kind of dead.
Yeah.
At least for us.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe
yeah,
not
it's
for other
topical.
people, but
Yeah, I mean, we're covering stuff that's usually like in the news or, relative to the conversation at hand. So it's like, but I it sucks because there has to be some incentive, and whether it's not us or someone else, there has to be some incentive to make content in a certain way. And I feel like our incentive is like, my anger, I would say, is one, my moral outrage about some of these issues that we talk about, and just wanting to like express that. And that's valuable. But we're never going to grow the movement and grow critical thinking in this way if you're just constantly getting shut down by the thing that gives you a little bit of payback, a little bit of money here and there to at least fund your efforts. And that's why people just make the same fucking videos over and over and over again of like, here are 10 ways that you can improve your day today. Number 1, take a walk. Number 2, drink water. And that is going to be made a million times because that will be pushed out to everybody. That will get you money. And then it incentivizes those people who may have a brain cell, but go, well, why would I spend my time making anti-MLM content when I can just, make pro life coaching content and make money from it? So, I don't know if that made all coherent sense, but there's just like the reason's not always like moral. It's not like people don't agree with what we're saying, but the message is never going to travel unless there's some incentive for it to do so.
yeah, exactly. It definitely puts me off when I don't make any money. It makes me not, because like it's unfortunately a very time consuming job, even if for me it's more of a part-time job. For me to put out a video, it takes research, it takes the filming, and the editing takes a long time. Like, it depends on how well edited I want the video to be, but sometimes it can take me like, and my computer is also slow, so it's it can take me anywhere from 3 hours to days and days on end. It depends.
Definitely.
So it's not easy, and then ended up like so many times ended up with like doing that, going through the motions, spending like half a week on something and getting absolutely nothing out of it. And it's great, and you can ride off of passion for a while, but then maybe passion is not enough. You kind of once you're kind of really in the thick of it, and it becomes a regular thing, and passion doesn't it dwindles a little bit, if you
Yeah,
will,
totally. How could
because
it
you're
not?
just doing it all the time. So then you do need something else to kind of keep you doing it. Otherwise, I don't know. It's hard not to quit some days.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the thing that I've been thinking about, and I think I've changed definitely since I started this, is like, you know, at first I had this moral high ground where I was like, well, this is not about money. It's about me doing what I want to do and whatever. But that really only becomes a privilege of someone who has money to blow or has money coming from a different source. And it's unfair to say only people who have saved income are allowed to have passion projects where they can express themselves, you know, because money doesn't matter. And I'm like, that's unfair. That's just not fair. Like, people who are of all economic status should be able to express themselves in this way. And I don't know, I guess there's like room for some sort of organization or something to almost set people up. I don't know if it's a nonprofit or something, but like set people up to have opinions, because I think there's so many opinions that aren't being heard. It's only like the middle upper class white woman opinion over and over and over again, or the middle white upper class man opinion, because those are the only people who have time and have the income and resources to be able to express themselves. And that's what gets out in society. And that's why so many people, I think, have come to you and to I and said, thank you for saying this about Rachel Hollis, because I thought I was crazy, or I thought I was the only one. And it's like, no, you're not. But the people who probably have these feelings aren't able to take the time to make the content to make you feel like you're not crazy. And it's unfair, and I don't know what to do about it, but that's just something that's been on my mind lately.
No, it's the fair world fallacy right there. Yeah, I know.
It's not fair.
It sucks.
Definitely. And I'm trying to accept that, the fairness stuff, and I really am getting better about it. And that's why I think I'm fighting to get paid fairly for my efforts now. Because it's like, okay, in a perfect world, I wouldn't need money, and I would just say whatever I want without having the fear of like being, you know, financially affected. But it's not true. So it's like, pay me like you pay somebody else.
Yeah. Sometimes with women, again, I know, but sometimes women have to fight harder for it than men. It's unfortunate, but it's just, yeah. For me, I feel a bit cynical about it, because it's like, I don't know. I've been through so many situations like this that it really just put me off from even fighting it, because I was just, yeah, it's not worth it. Every time I tried to fight for this, it never worked.
Yeah.
Like, it never worked. And every time I was seen as the difficult person,
Totally.
that should be hired because they're difficult, that, you know, yeah. I even called someone out once that I worked on something with, and I called them out and I said, you're not even paying me for this. And instead of them saying, oh, I'm sorry, maybe I should pay you, what they said is like, you know what, collaboration is the way to go. And I was like, that sounds like exploitation to me, but okay. And obviously that person would never work with me after that. So yeah, I've been into so many situations like that. It's unfortunately unreal just how much the world is keen to exploit young talent, is what they call it, or up and coming talent. But they don't consider that the up and coming talent, young talent, all their skills and all the work that they do is actually worth anything.
Yeah.
They are considering it. It's like, oh yeah, it's very weird, because like on one hand you call it talent, you call it up and coming, you call it young, and those things are important and valuable. And on the other hand, you're saying, well, it's not valuable enough to give you money for it.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay. So then why don't you keep this industry to the old, not up and coming people set in their ways, who've only known the world to be one way, and then they just bring on the same content over and over and over again. And that's what it is at the moment. They were like, yeah, that sounds good. We're going to have the set in our ways things. And then they're like, but how do we attract young audiences? Like, well, you won't. Not like this.
Yeah. It's a fight constantly between innovation and guaranteed results. I think that's why we see, this is off topic sort of, but that's why we see so many reboots now, because there's a built-in audience that's already there from the love of the last brand. You know, like, oh, let's, instead of making a new series where people have to, you know, write new characters and whatever, let's just do Full House, but later in time. Let's, instead of making a new show, you know, let's do iCarly again. Let's make Superman over again. You see all this, it's like, people like it because they, you know, they have nostalgia for it, but I wonder how much we're losing out of taking new chances because there's so much money at stake. A new idea has not been, you know, tested, and there's not enough money to go and put it in a focus group and see if people will like this character versus this character. So, you know, trying new things is really only for people who have dispensable income or disposable income, people who can just like throw money at stuff and not worry about it, or it's not going to happen. You know, someone who's you know, on the lower end of the economic spectrum, that's why their voices aren't being told in, you know, TV and movies and things, because number one, they don't have time to go and write a screenplay or learn how to do it or whatever, unless you're able to go to LA, invest all this money and time, not work. It's like, that's why we get, you know, like I said, the same stuff over and over and over again, because those are the only people who have that opportunity to even try. And it's frustrating. And I'm like, I get mad, and I'm telling my therapist all this stuff, and she's like, you know, life's not fair. I'm like, yes, I know. But like, how can we work as a collective group to make it more fair? And I don't know. There is really not an effort right now. It's just like, everyone just individually get over it. That's where I'm at right now. And it sucks.
Yeah.
But that's the only solution that we have in this day and age.
Yeah. I think the whole movement with having more diverse voices has been helpful in a few ways. I know a few people who, and including myself, who have kind of like come up through that. But I think it's the effort was so little that, and even with this very little effort, other groups like white middle class men my age felt disadvantaged suddenly. And I'm like, dude, we're just 6 people here and you're like 95. I don't know. Like it's not, it's there's no way that these 6 people are the danger like zone for you. Like, you know what I mean? And it's, they still, unfortunately, that's why I don't think anything really happens in that direction, is because some people will feel like the system is being threatened, and at the moment the system is working in their favor, and they wouldn't have it. And unfortunately, lots of those people are people who are in good positions, who can fight for what they want because they have relationships or what. It's a big conversation.
It's an interesting word, like disadvantaged, because that means there is an advantage by somebody. It's not that it's disequal or disequality or something where it's like everyone should be here. Some, you know, and we all just want to be on the same page. No, we all are fighting for that advantage always. And that, it's like almost a relationship. You can't have a relationship with yourself necessarily. It has to be between 2 people. Like, you're dealing with the world at large, and it's like you can't have an advantage without other people being disadvantaged. And how do you figure that out over time? And I don't know. And I used to think, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, go on.
I was gonna say that the thing that you know, I used to think, and I think this is important to talk about, maybe this is the move forward, is I used to think something inherently makes me worse than that average person who made that movie or whatever, or is making a living doing YouTube. I used to think they're just better for some reason that I can't see, or for some reason, and I'm worse. And a lot of times it turns out they had more time, more money, more, drive, because they weren't working 40 hours or they weren't doing all this stuff. So if you really look at it, it makes sense. It's like, yes, of course, they spent, all week on that. It makes sense. But not everyone's able to do that. And that's the difference. And that it made me feel better, because I was like, okay, it's not just I was born worse or they were born better. And there is a chance then to improve. So that did make me feel like, okay, it's not just me. Because you can get in that mindset, I think, of like, God, I'm such a loser. Nothing ever works out. Oh my God. And probably people think that about my success. Like, oh, someone's like, oh, like, look at her. She's got this. I don't have that. And we all look at each other like that, as if we're just inherently bad. And I think when you start to see the truth of it all, like Ariana Grande is a great singer. No one's denying that. But she also grew up very wealthy, so she has more of a chance to be a commercial success. Taylor Swift, same thing. Like all these people. Yes, you could be a singer, you know, and come up from nothing, but it's a lot of a longer, harder road. And as long as you know that, that can make you feel better.
Yeah, yeah. It's a privilege to have the time to dedicate to whatever it is that you're passionate about. And even much more of a privilege to have the family connections, the social connections, the money to go after it. It's not easy to do these things, so you can't do it if you have nothing. Yeah, having nothing is a big disadvantage. I know, I know, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I would say what the bigger, I don't know if the bigger tragedy, because I guess you can't really like compare
Rank.
tragedies, but
Yeah.
one of the things that we're missing out on is like, we're missing out on real entertainment. We're missing out on excellent movies. We're missing
Yes.
out on excellent music, or just art that would be so cool and fun and amazing to have. But we are not getting it. It's not coming to our attention because these people are not given opportunities to hone their craft, to put their craft in the world, to market the craft.
Yep.
They're not giving money, they're not giving time, they're not giving resources. So because they're not getting any of that, the 8 billion, by the way, we are 8 billion now, the 8 billion of us are not getting access to it. And that's why I think innovation is very important, but it's hard to do when you don't have resources and stuff. So,
and a big resource is time. And that's something I didn't consider either. It's like time is money. You know, you think like people will say like, oh, everyone, if you just work hard, that's the thing too, like the side of it, like as a motivational side, like everyone has the same 24 hours as Beyonce. Okay, that old
no, they don't.
narrative that was told to us,
Absolutely do not.
to make you feel like, oh, we are all on the same page, yet I'm just lazier and I'm just not as committed to my growth or whatever fucking bullshit they're gonna sell you as like your problem. I think people don't talk about it enough, or maybe they do and I'm just not listening, but about time equaling money. Like all the, family help you get with your kids, all of the commuting time you don't have to do, like all those things put together. That is the difference between getting a story out there, a diverse story in the media versus not, or even on the news, which I'm going to start railing against soon after like doing all this research and seeing like the dumb blog posts that get promoted on like national news. Like, okay, now I'm just talking about my own stuff, but like Bethany Frankel getting on TikTok becomes a 4-minute national news story is so ridiculous. But you know why that becomes? Because she's available, because she has money. She's able to fly to New York, to be in the studio, to do her own promotions. But that's what shapes society, is what these, news networks are putting on TV. And again, I don't know how to fix it, but it's little things every day that make you see the world in the way that, people want you to see the world. And over time, your entire view of society, of life, is formed by these things. So you might think, oh, women and men, this is what happens. This is always what happens. And then you have an idea of what that's like because of all of this media stuff that you've been shown and your smaller, life experience. But I don't think we realize how important that is to see outside of that. But it's impossible because we don't have time to go and invest, to go to different countries and all this stuff to see different perspectives. So again, it's like a sort of like a no one wins situation really until something changes.
Well, somebody does win, but
Yeah.
it's not the vast majority of us.
Yeah.
It's what you're describing there is being brainwashed by media. Yeah, we are. For
Whether
sure.
they mean to or
Like,
not,
I think,
I don't think it's a grand
well,
plan, but it just happens.
I think it is a grand plan. But
See,
it
I
is.
think it's the opposite of. So you see, it's more planned. I think this one's more accidental. Like they're just going to what's easy. Like, oh, what's easy? Trying to
No,
find a
I-
story, or just calling up a blogger who has a viral post and putting them on TV. That's easier.
True, but I
You know?
think that some of it is what they leave out.
Go on.
Like it's that's where the agenda is. It's like, what are we not gonna say? Or, are we going to talk about this and blame the white man that works at Balenciaga that admitted it? No. What we're gonna do is blame it on everyone else, and just, it's never. The, it's just all down to patriarchal system. I don't know. Like, I feel like I've repeated myself a lot of times saying this, but this is the reality of the world that we live in. Unfortunately, some people at the top take benefit a lot from things being a certain way. And
Definitely.
why would a white man like Trump want to have the news media being more diverse?
No, and I think my thing about all of this is like, I don't think it's men. I don't think it's men are born with this in their mind. I think it's social conditioning, and it's the people that they see are in power. They feel connected to them because, oh, you're a guy, I'm a guy, and it just continues because nothing is incentivizing them to change. If all of a sudden every woman turned off NBC and never watched it again, all of a sudden they would be like trying to figure out, how do we get women back to watch NBC? But because women are fine with watching it and there's no incentive for them to change anything, it's more effort for what? What are you doing? It's what this whole conversation started as is, what is my incentive to take this model that works and makes millions of billions of dollars and flip it and try something we've never tried? For society, maybe, but maybe it actually hurts society. To make money? No, we're making money now. So there's literally zero incentive for anyone to change anything until all of a sudden there is a need, and then maybe it'll change. But why? If I was, the head of whatever, any network, no, stay as. Why am I going to complicate my life, my independent individual life, for what?
The only reason why companies do anything is because of competition in the market, because there is nothing else. Like, so the only reason why Instagram added the stories was because Snapchat had stories, and they were doing really well, so they wanted that.
Yeah.
And so it's always just a matter of competition, having more and more users, and literally that's the only thing that drives change. And that is the only hope too, because they're not gonna change for nothing changes for ethical reasons.
No.
Unless there's like a revolution, and I believe in revolutions, so there's that. But
That's incentive.
it all changes for money reasons.
Yeah.
So the minute they start to see in that their pocket is affected by a certain thing, that's when they realize, oh, we should put some money into, for example, there was no reason to make television for women until women started to have jobs. Because now women, back in what was it, after the war or during the war, that lots of women started to get on the job market because all the men were at war.
Yeah.
But up until then, what would be the reason to target women?
No incentive.
Because they don't have money in their pocket.
Yeah.
They don't even have bank accounts.
But-
why would they the only
Exactly.
way they could get to the women to buy things was through the men.
Yeah.
So they had to make it be like, oh, women need to wear this and that, so that the men think, oh, I want my wife to wear this and that, therefore I should give my wife money, or I should buy it for my wife. So it was still through the men. After the war, or during the war, whatever, then once women had started to make money and have their own money, now suddenly we can target them, and suddenly you're like, oh, women are half the population. wait, there's a market there. We shouldn't just think of the men and how to market it to the men. So I think it's been a slow change for the last 80 years,
Yep.
70 years.
I agree.
But we're not there yet.
No, and I think my thing is, what I'm thinking is like, as a woman back in those times, you probably would think I'm not important. I, as a woman, am not important because I was born a woman. And look, there's no one on TV talking to me. My worldview is, my mom, who is a housewife, and my husband, who is the breadwinner, and my town values women like this. Now I have access to the TV. It's all geared towards men. I now believe that I am lesser than, and I accept that about myself. And that's what we're doing now, I think. A lot of people think like, well, positivity and these like bullshit, things that get promoted over and over and over again, that is the gold standard. And anyone who presses against that is a negative loser who's, just in the outskirts of the world, which is true. But if I believe that about myself, then I will feel like, well, I just need to become more positive, and that's the only way. And I don't believe that. It's just what is incentivized to do well in these platforms. So it almost like gives me off the hook. And it's like, my feelings are valid. They may not ever take off, but that's okay. And I think sometimes we're tricked into believing that movements and things, once they take off, then they're valid. Or if that's like the majority opinion, then that's valid. And I don't know if that's true. I think it's just a lot of factors playing in. I don't think it's men biologically are worse. I think they're just the ones that have been in charge. And once you have power, it's a lot harder to lose it and, have someone else come up and gain it. Same thing for races, like, and classes. It's like, once you're rich, it's a lot harder to lose your money than to just keep it and like push it down the line. Like, Steven Spielberg's daughter, who's now becoming a director, her life path is much more easy than someone who's, was born 20 years ago in a small rural Iowa town. Now that person might be more talented if given the chance, but they will never get the chance because they can't get there. And they might think like, well, Steven Spielberg's daughter just naturally was born better than me, and the world is working out the way it's supposed to. And it's like, no. But I don't know if believing that stuff helps you, or if you should just accept that, I'll never make Jurassic Park, and that's okay. I don't know. I've been on both sides of that conversation in my head, where like, we shouldn't accept this. We should fight back and get those people to, be given a chance. But then it becomes endlessly, it's never going to happen. So how do I live?
I was in that situation. I was doing that. I was making films. I was hoping, to get, to be like that big director that breaks through the noise or whatever, and just kind of makes those big important stories, to change people's perception, or to do my little part to change people's perception. And it was a slow, very slow grift, and I got to make one important film, and then I couldn't continue because I wasn't, well, first of all, the pandemic came, so that had a big impact, but also
Sure.
it was just impossible for me monetarily. So I kind of gave it up.
Yeah.
That was my solution, I guess.
And
I
that's
was
probably
like, okay,
better
I guess
for
it's
you
not.
as an individual. Yeah. And it's like your mental health's not worth it necessarily to dedicate your whole sanity to making this dream happen.
It's not even that my mental health wouldn't be worth it. Like, I would sacrifice I have none, so it's okay. But I think it was just not possible. Like, I just, like, I wouldn't have had, like, if my relationship ended, so I would have had to move. I would have had to pay like rent somewhere. And it's not possible to pay rent on a monthly basis if I don't make money on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
So it suddenly went from a thing, okay, this thing happened once and I can maybe like use it as a springboard to do the next thing. I couldn't use it as a springboard because unfortunately the case was that I needed basics. I needed money for a daily. In order for me to have been able to do that, I would have needed to spend days and days and days working to pitch things, to come up with ideas, to do research, to do all these things that I can't do, that other companies would be able to do with a full team. But I didn't have the privilege of having a full team, and I would have had to do everything myself. So I would have had to work 17 times harder. And in order for me to work 17 times harder, I would have needed to put the time in it. And in order to put the time in it, that means I would not be able to do a thing that pays me money,
Yeah.
that I can use to pay for my rent. So
Yeah.
it literally it was impossible. Well, it was not impossible. Maybe impossible is not the right word, but it was
Extremely
too hard.
difficult.
Too hard to the point where it was like, how? You can't do it like that. It's just, yeah, it's a complicated discussion. But yeah, had I had the privilege of having a house where I didn't need to pay things, and I would have had money coming into my account, and I would have not had to worry about food and rent and whatever, and had I had the privilege to hire a team, and that
you'd
would
have a
do
shot.
the research for me or whatever, then yeah, probably. But it just,
I guess my thing, and it's I'm glad we're talking about this, honestly, because this time's on my mind like this whole week for some reason. But I think it's like the second factor of that. Like you can like understand it logically. Like, okay, I tried, it didn't work. This is much more realistic for me to do and whatever. But like internalizing it as I failed, I didn't try hard enough, or how the narrative is told to us in movies currently and in TV and in stories, even books, are like, when you're young and you're ambitious, you're like, I got what it takes. You might not even have what it takes, like, already, if you don't have like that income coming in, those houses. But it's not drive alone. That's what's told to us from a young age. Ambition and drive is the only thing, and hard work, that you need to accomplish this. And if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. And it's just not.
And I think
true.
that's interesting, because that's not told to all of us. That's told to all those of us who don't have the other things.
To keep you in the game, thinking you have a chance, when literally you don't even have a ticket to the game.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want, like, it's for the people who don't have any hope. Essentially, it's like, oh, we found out how we can capitalize even off of those who don't have any hope.
Yeah.
We give them hope, and then we charge them money for those things. So
it's crazy. It's almost like, and I always think about it like physical and mental. It helps me kind of think about it. It's like almost hearing those miracle stories about people who like randomly, get rid of their cancer diagnosis for no good reason. Everyone who gets cancer thinks, well, that could be me. And everyone who has to witness someone going through cancer goes, well, that person miraculously got healed, so there's a chance. But in reality, it's like most likely, and look at all the people who didn't make it.
That's the thing that I feel like the media does, because
Yeah.
it will use this miracle story, and it's the same with like, this one person coming from poverty made it to having $1 billion company. And I'm pretty sure that would be true, and that person does exist. But how many millions didn't manage because the life got in the way, and life is too hard and it's complicated? So yes, that person is real, and they should be getting all of the applause for everything that they've done. But it's not the norm. It's not like all people coming from poverty have $1 billion companies. That's just simply not the norm. But the media makes it such a big deal when it happens once, that you suddenly think, oh, there must be millions. Like it's not. It's that one case that you've seen over and over and over again. And it happens with these that's why they get the Silicon Valley entrepreneurs and stuff like that. They're like, because it happened once with like I don't know who would be the first one, but let's say Mark Zuckerberg did have a successful idea.
Sure.
It happened once. So now people are giving so many up and coming entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley money. And then you get Samuel Friedman, what's it called? Samuel
FTX.
Friedman Bank? No, someone Bankman Fried, sorry. Who just was like, yeah, totally. I'm a successful entrepreneur. Give me billions. And then turns out it's fraud.
And the
It's like,
thing, yeah. And the thing with those people are, because he was like, okay, that turned out to be a fraud. Elizabeth Holmes turned out to be a fraud. Mark Zuckerberg's obviously struggling now. But those people who did defy the odds, they are saying like, come from nothing. Mark Zuckerberg was in Harvard, okay. Elizabeth Holmes had gone to Stanford, and had lived in like a very upper middle class lifestyle, who had connections with her neighbor, was an inventor. Like, those are the people she was surrounded by. That makes a difference. And the FTX guy, his parents are both compliance lawyers. So that is still the lottery that they even had a chance. Were
academics, but they were teaching law at Stanford. So,
okay.
you know,
Well, yeah.
But basically, yes. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like that miracle case happened,
and they even had a huge advantage already.
Yeah, and let's say there was a miracle case that didn't have the advantage. So a true story of rags to riches. They exist, but then suddenly people are throwing money at the wrong thing because they don't understand really how that came to be.
Yeah.
And they don't understand there was a level of grind probably in there. There was probably a level of being at the right time, in the right place. Just lots of things came together that created this perfect moment, and it just happened. And people don't know how to recreate that, so they're throwing money around at other things that turn out to be money grabs. Because why not? Because if somebody was to throw money at me to tell me to start a crypto company, I would fucking take it. I'd be like, yeah, totally, I can make it. I don't know the first thing about crypto. But if they're like, yeah, totally, we see you, like, you could be the next, I'll be like, sure, give me the money, it's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
It's complicated.
Hope is such an interesting thing, and I think that hope is used for a lot of positives, but I also think hope blinds us completely to reality of what we should be focusing on. Instead of thinking about this is a message to myself, instead of thinking about one day you might be a famous YouTuber who's making $1 million, whatever, instead of dreaming about that every day and focusing on that every day, and that's the advice of a lot of people who will tell you, like, this is how I became this way and got famous, like, just focus on it, grind it out every single day. Instead of doing that, I think it should be, I need to invest $200 into a more comfortable chair that I'm sitting in every day for 10 hours plus. That is a much more realistic goal that should be addressed now. And I think those are looked at as like, loser. You're thinking about living in a comfortable environment. No, you need to be focused on the future of what you could be, of what your potential is. It's like the potential and the reality are so different, and yet we're all so focused on the potential boyfriend, the potential mate, the whatever. And it's like, why don't we deal with the one that we're with now and figure out like how you can have a better date night tonight, as opposed to thinking about like, oh, like, what if I was married to Brad Pitt? How would that be? But that's how our world, at least in America, is set up. All of us are always thinking about the next thing and like the big thing. And it's like driving us all mad and insane and crazy and depressed. I think that's what it is. I think. And it's sad because if you don't do that, you're looked at as like, you've settled. How many times I've been told,
and it's
don't
distracting.
settle?
It's distracting from a very important conversation about what should be implemented in society to actually help the community.
Yeah.
They're putting the onus so much on you as an individual, making it and just striving and grifting and whatever, that you're not, that first of all you're busy, so you don't have time to be fighting for social causes.
Yeah.
But you're not thinking, okay, but how do we make sure that if the worst comes to it, I'm not homeless? Like,
Yeah.
how do we make sure that as a society that, let's say everyone is trying, but like if they fail, when they fail, whatever happens, let's make sure they're not homeless. Let's make sure they have a social security system that is in place that will give them some money to be able to live, to be able to eat. So you're not talking about these things because what you're thinking is like, no, that person's not grifting,
They're not
it's not
trying. They're
grinding
not
enough, and they're not
competing.
hustling and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
When in reality, this time and energy would be much better used if it was all put into, like, let's make sure everyone's okay, you know. Let's just make sure everyone's okay, and then we'll see what they come up with.
Yeah.
But people don't want to do that because that's money. They don't want that money to go to those things. But unfortunately,
Well,
it
it's like
makes for a society that is very deprived and individualistic and unhappy, truly.
I
Because
think we're all unhappy.
wherever they have implemented these things like universal, what's it called, universal
Income.
income or something, where like I think Switzerland or Finland was it that implemented it, their results were amazing. Like, people were not lazy like they thought, and that because that was the original thing, that, oh, people just, if they don't need to work, then they will not work. Well, it turns out people still want to do something with their time even when they have money. So, and it makes them be able to innovate and whatever. And
Yeah.
those things are, like, I don't know, I would love to see that. I would love to see that in
Me too.
Britain, but I wonder if that's ever gonna happen. But
And the United States is so, like, our thing is like, we're so big, we can't. That's always the argument. And I agree. Like, we're such a large country
but you're
geographically.
so big, you can.
Yeah.
Because imagine, and also it's really size an issue, because like everything is, you get
Digital
you
anyways.
get taxed from one person. So if you have 300 million, you get taxed from 300 million.
Yeah.
If you have 60 million, you get taxed from 60 million. If you have 25, like, you know what I mean? That's the tax you get. So,
Yeah.
you know, like like almost evens out, because yeah, you are big, but you get more tax because you're big. Like, you're not
Yeah.
getting less.
Yeah, that's always the argument I hear, is because we have so many, states within a republic that it's difficult to pull off. But like during the pandemic, all of a sudden everyone got checks somehow. Everyone got their check in the mail that just, was underneath a certain threshold of income. So they figured it out then. I don't know how we can't figure it out moving forward. And even the student loan forgiveness, so now we're just kind of talking about social stuff, but like the student loan forgiveness, like that was like a huge deal. Like that was going to be given to people who took out, loans and are in debt to a certain amount and had certain financial issues, whatever. They blocked it in the courts, and now it's like unknown if it will ever happen. They've just delayed repayment again for 6 more months, which I'm glad for. I'm not complaining, but we take one step forward and then 20 steps back, and then one step forward and 20 steps back. What any social justice movement, like with Roe v. Wade, we were living in that world for like 30 years, and now, or 50 years, or however, whenever it got passed, and now we're back to square one on it. It's like, it's very frustrating as someone living in this country to be wanting these social things, to see progress, and then to see it be wiped away with one, administration coming in and making change. It's like, it's very hard to remain hopeful that, okay, with more time, with more effort, with more dreaming, that this can happen. It's like, okay, so I don't have any faith anymore in the collective. All right, so now what do? Do I just go, I got to now we're back to me, individually got to accomplish what I want to accomplish so that I can be outside of the community and the differing story. And it's like, I don't know. None of this is good news, I guess.
No, but it's good to have your eyes open and just, I think being in the dark doesn't help anyone. Well, it does help some people, but
Yeah.
not the good ones. So
I think a lot of people in
yeah,
the dark
I
have
think
symptoms, but they don't know where it's coming from. They're upset, they're depressed, they're also unhappy, but they don't know why. I feel like I
yeah.
know exactly why I'm depressed. It's because of these
Yeah, and I
reasons.
think awareness is important.
Yeah.
Awareness is probably it's the first step to change. Like if you don't know something's wrong, like you can't even begin to come up with a solution to fix it. You
Yeah.
need to know what's wrong. You know what I mean? Like you need to
Yeah.
know what's wrong in order to try
Yeah.
and get anywhere, because otherwise you're just stabbing in the dark and it's gonna get nowhere. So definitely that's why it's important. I guess this brings us back to the initial conversation, but this is why it's important to open people's eyes
Yeah.
so that there is awareness, so that people know what's going on. And once they do, and it's going to be a slow painful process. Like, and when I mean slow, I mean
Beyond your
decades,
lifetime, probably,
maybe.
honestly.
Hopefully not. I'm still kind of optimistic that it's going to be in my lifetime, but it will be like it will take a major collective effort. Nothing will ever be a one person thing. No one person can ever change society by themselves.
Yeah.
That's too big a job.
Yeah.
So
And even sometimes that one person, if you think of like people in history like Martin Luther King or yeah, I don't know, like JFK, like people that at least in American history, we talk about a lot and think about and, are covered. They're almost an idea at this point. They're not even really them as people anymore. Definitely not. Like their life's work has been made into something that is beyond their life, their day-to-day life. And even at the time, they all had teams and teams and teams of people and communities and groups that they were working with to get their message. They were just like the figurehead of it. So
yeah, this is what I was gonna say. Like that wasn't a one man thing. It was
it's
just
never, but
it
we're
was,
told
it's always like a big,
it is one
big
man.
lots and lots of factors have to come together. Like there's every time something successful happens,
Yeah.
it's never that one thing. Everyone thinks, oh my god, it's because of this thing. And yeah, it's probably because of that thing, but that's the thing that tipped it over, like rather than the only thing that was there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but I think again, going back to the original thing too, is like the story we've been told, like going biblically, the story we're told, Jesus came on earth and as one person, one man, changed everything forever. So now we're all emulating Jesus. Or we hear one man did that in like, I don't know, like the Odyssey, like in old writings. It's always the hero's journey. And I think we all as a society take that and go, that's me. I got to do that. I got to be on an adventure that is life. But in reality, it's like, it's not even real. Even for the ones that we hear about, that wasn't even real to begin with. So to think that you are going to somehow become a famous, rich, successful, happy person by just doing, just grinding out hard and trying at all times to be a good person, it doesn't exist. There's no way you can do it. And it's just knowing that, honestly, knowing that it's impossible has been comforting to me, to know it's just like, look, there's not even one person in the history of the world that's done this ever alone.
I don't think it's impossible.
Alone?
I think
to do it all by
I
themselves?
don't mean to say. I don't think it's impossible. I think it's how can I put it? I've just suddenly lost all my thoughts.
Not possible.
It's it's not impossible. It's possible. But it is hard, and it will come at the cost of a lot of other things. Like, for example, for me, let's say I want something really bad, and what I want to do, let's imagine it's my previous goal, which was to be a documentary maker. And I have to be realistic and realize, yes, sure, I think at the end of the day, this will be possible in one way or another. There's other ways. I can get creative. I can find ways. but it will always come at the cost of something. And what's that cost, and is it worth it? And like, you know, it might come at the cost of having a family, of ever having kids. Maybe I will never get to have kids, or maybe because how am I going to have kids if I have to travel nonstop to, like, you know, or like, I don't know, maybe I will have to, maybe I'll be like, okay, maybe I can have the kids, but maybe I have to stay with this man that clearly hates me because he can take care of the kids. So maybe I will sacrifice the relationship for the kids and the kid. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
Can
always
never
going
have it
to
all.
be
Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's possible. It's just you have to know what you can tolerate. um and what's worth to you, and in the end, and you just remember that you only have one life, unlike the Bible might be telling you. Yeah, unfortunately, I think this is the one, and that our days are numbered, and there's fewer and fewer by the day. So um
So choose wisely, bitches.
so just on this positive note,
I'll play the outro music that will bring us back to a positive, upbeat, hopeful attitude. Oh shit. Sorry. Society's crumbling. Yeah.
ooh. I mean, but has society ever been not crumbling? Because I don't know how they used to be, but they were probably pretty shit back then.
Probably. We'll never know.
Probably even worse. I think this is the best we've ever been in history,
The
which is
best
very
we've
depressing.
ever been. When you
I'm
look
afraid
at it
to
like
tell
that,
you. Yeah, I guess this was the point. This was the point I had the whole time. Kayla, I'm afraid to tell you all of these frustrations that you just told me, and how you see the world as this terrible, awful thing. Yeah, unfortunately, this is the best it's ever been.
the best we've ever been. Everyone's doing great. Nothing to complain about. Woo! And on that note, we'll see you next week.
I will be watching No Name. I will be watching that game.
Ooh.
So, yeah, we
I
can
won't.
talk about it then next week.
Perfect. I'll be eating turkey, maybe. We'll
Oh,
find out.
enjoy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a blast. We don't have it here, so just enjoy, just revel in the knowledge that it's only you.
Bring up all these issues at the dinner table and see what
Oh
unfolds.
God, don't. Oh my God, you're gonna get kicked out. Don't do it. Don't do it.
All right. See ya. Bye.
See you guys.